All right, we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we got a lot to talk about in our live stream yesterday. So we have a big update for today that's very, relevant answer to our live stream yesterday. We talked about how yesterday was a critical day for crypto and how, just in the nick of time, things turned out favorably based on everything I was talking about, okay? So we're going to explain all that in this video because you might have noticed a rebound in crypto prices over the past, 24 hours or so. And there's a big factor in, why that's happening that I'm going to talk about today and what you need to understand, okay? We're going to look at that. We're going to look at a lot of the news updates that have happened in the space since our live stream yesterday. We do these Monday through Friday on this channel. Just subscribe, turn on notifications. You'll find out about those whenever you go live. We're going to answer some of your questions and a lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. We started today. Last but not least, like nothing, I'm saying this video is not financial advice, and there's lots of scammers in the comment section below. Just ignore them. Like, I'm never going to give you my phone number on YouTube or ask you to invest with me. All right? That's absolutely crazy. So we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Automatic Beats, Culturized, David Stone, Ethan, Crypto Pat, Made You Look, Lee. All right, welcome. Let me just change something in my live stream settings really quickly before we get started here. Let me just see here. Okay, awesome. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. We got more people jumping in. Trent, Christian, ZeroFX, welcome. All right, so yesterday we're talking about how it was a critical day for crypto, okay? And why is that? Well, we had the last Fed meeting in the U.S. For 2021, and we saw a lot of fear, across financial markets about what could be potentially announced during that time. So, to set the stage to understand why this is important, the central banks of the world, particularly the United States, have a pretty strong impact on how markets behave in the short term, okay, and also the long term, but particularly in the short term, because and also how that affects crypto. So it affects crypto similarly to how it affects, stocks, basically, depending on what, the central bank decides to do. That basically sets the stage for how people are thinking, how they think certain assets are going to perform, and then they allocate funds, accordingly, okay? And so a lot of the factors inside of that are, what do they think is going to happen with interest rates? All right, what do they think is going to happen with bond program, all that type of stuff, okay? So people watch these, things pretty religiously to try to, divine the short-term future. Okay, I don't always try to do that, but I'm a realist and understand that it does impact these things. That's why I tell you all about them. And then also how it's relevant to crypto is because, crypto is very decentralized ethos, which is, it's kind of moving in the other direction of a central bank, okay? And so, that's another reason that these things are relevant. So let's talk about what happened yesterday and why it's such a critical day for crypto. So, yesterday, we also had some other pretty big announcements come out of that meeting that were favorable for crypto. So basically, the outcome of yesterday's meeting was that the Fed does plan on tapering. Okay, but they also plan on having 3 rate hikes in 2022, but that the rate hikes probably aren't going to happen until after the taper is complete. Okay, so I think a lot of people are seeing that as more time for kind of easy money up only, because that's what happens when rates are low like this. People borrow money, and that typically inflates prices of assets, okay, because you can borrow money and do lots of different stuff with it, okay? So now one other big thing that came out of the meeting yesterday was a comment that was big, which was this. So basically, Powell doesn't see cryptocurrencies as a financial stability concern. So this is pretty significant to say this on record, because I think a lot of people are curious about, hey, what's the attitude of, government authorities towards cryptocurrencies? Because there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines that are not putting in money in cryptocurrency at all, or are limiting their exposure to crypto because they fear of what's going to happen to it from a regulation standpoint. Are there governments that are basically just going to put these strict crackdowns that say, hey, you can't have this anymore, or you can't have it in the first place, and that's either going to prevent them, pull their money out, or, limit who could potentially participate, and therefore, potentially limit the demand, and that could cause the price of their assets to tank, all that type of stuff. We've seen this in some other countries already. We've seen outright bans on crypto in some countries. And I think people are wondering, hey, what's the attitude of the United States? We've seen lots of conversations, with elected officials and also unelected officials about this type of thing. So the fact that we're saying positive, well, I say positive, non-negative sentiment towards crypto in this way in an official capacity is a pretty big deal, okay? So, don't forget, I think one long-term possibility with the central bank is moving towards a central bank digital currency. We've seen reports come out lately that the Fed plans to publish a research paper on central bank digital currency. So we'll see if that ends up happening and, what that turns into. Let's see here. Okay, so that ended up being really good for crypto. So basically, it was like during the as these things were being said, like crypto started, like the shorts started getting absolutely wrecked, and crypto prices, surged a lot higher. We've got ETH back above $4,000. I think we got pretty close to $4,100 yesterday. Maybe not quite there, but we're getting really close. Okay, so we'll see. Now, that being said, I don't know for sure whether that means that this downtrend that we've been in for the past, month, basically, is now reversed. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. I'm not saying like we're just like off to the races and we're gonna, moon hard in December, although we possibly could do that. I don't think it's super likely at this point, but it is good for crypto again. So in terms of the overall market and the direction, resuming uptrend, continuing on to bull market, I'll reiterate live what I've been saying this past week on the channel, and frankly, quite some time now, is that my base case is that we are still trending higher. The uptrend has not been broken. That we will likely continue raising, increasing in price into 2022, potentially even beyond that. Okay, my base case is a crypto super cycle based upon the adoption that we have with the technology right now. Because of the adoption generating demand, that value accrues to cryptocurrency itself. The only two scenarios that would invalidate a super cycle, in my opinion, would be three scenarios. One is a black swan event that sends pretty much crypto or some cryptos to zero, which is highly unlikely. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could happen. Would be the other thing that would invalidate it would just be a massive parabolic blow off top that just sends crypto into a bear market, because that's kind of what happens. If we just have some sort of massive parabolic blow off top, prices tend to correct for a long time really hard. Okay, so that's more likely. So we'll have to wait and see that. So wait and see that's true. The third option is that I'm just completely dead wrong and everything that I think is completely false. So I don't think that's true either. So it's in that way, that's my base case is super cycle, but beyond that, it's also very possible that we have a parabolic blow off top and then enter into a bear market as a result. So I put out a video yesterday talking about that. Definitely check it out if you want to learn more. Let's see here. So why is ETH not fluctuating a lot these days? It just depends. I mean, there's no clear answer. Like some of this really is a random walk, right? But we've seen this in the past with ETH, where it kind of just no, doesn't do anything for a long time, and then it kind of breaks out. Okay, so one really quick thing, a bit of a housekeeping thing, and also a little bit of a personal plug here. So yesterday, if you tried to access the website at dappuniversity.com for anything, whether you're trying to sign up for the bootcamp or trying to apply on the jobs page, we had a DNS issue, and the site was down for a little while, and also kind of it had intermittent outages for several hours after that. So that should be completely resolved now. But if you try to access the website, if you try to sign up for anything, or if you try to look at the jobs page, then that should all be fixed now. And so speaking of the jobs page, I'm going to do a quick plug here, just kind of update you all. So we are growing the team in 2022, plan to do a lot of big, exciting stuff, and need more help, okay? So the primary needs that we are looking for content creation roles, so like developer content creators. So can you actually code on screen? Are you not camera shy? Can explain things, passionate about helping other people, and also research analysts and content creators. So kind of, potentially like co-hosting this live stream with me, finding out about new things that are happening. Can you analyze, the news, all that type of stuff. So it's a lot of what I do now, just kind of split up into different people. So I'm not going anywhere, but the whole thing here is to bring on more people so that we could do more. And also looking for a full-time designer for YouTube thumbnails, and also just general design needs, and also a project manager to, help with like all the stuff we got going on here. It's a lot of stuff. Okay, so let's see here. So some people says or somebody says people's ETH is locked up on ETH 2.0 and they can't sell it. So some are thinking that's why the ETH prices are somewhat stable. Well, you have to think about prices in terms of it's a function of supply and demand. Okay, so what you're basically saying is the supply of ETH is the available supply to purchase is decreasing. Now, what's fluctuating more here is just the demand. So that doesn't necessarily mean that demand for ETH, the asset itself, has flattened long term, or that like people don't want to buy ETH long term. A lot of it's about short term, because you have to think about what's the psychology of the person buying ETH. Why are they buying it? When do they want to buy it? At what price do they want to buy it? Okay. So you might have people who are like, I'm waiting for ETH to turn around before I buy more. I'm waiting for this, I'm waiting for that. Now doesn't seem like a good time to buy. I need more cash, or whatever it is, right? And maybe I want to buy something else right now because there's a huge market of cryptocurrencies, and people say I might want that one instead of this one. So the demand is the demand really is the thing that fluctuates the most. And that doesn't necessarily mean that is not always a reflection of the overall value proposition of ETH. It's just how do people feel about it right then. Somebody says, will ETH still perform with proof of stake? Will the network still run, especially with those high gas prices? So of course it'll still run. It'll actually run better. And when we have ETH 2.0, it's not going to fix the gas fees in and of itself, but that's what layer 2 scaling solutions are for. So basically, this is where you build a second layer on top of Ethereum to offload some of the transactions, and then you settle results of those transactions back on to the main chain, or use the main chain to keep the integrity of that second environment. Okay, so let's look here. So you all can find this Easter egg over my Twitter. I'm not going to show it on my screen just in case there's a copyright violation or in case that there's some sort of non-family friendly language in it that could potentially get the video censored. But you can go check out my Twitter. There was a South Park episode where they a clip from a South Park episode where they you know made fun of crypto. It's pretty funny about NFTs and all this stuff. It was awesome. Yeah, South Park, don't miss. Yeah, South Park is an equal opportunity offender. Yeah, when will South Park create their own NFT? That's what I want to know. So, do you need to learn coding algorithms and data structures for blockchain development? So, algorithms, not really. I mean, kind of a controversial take here, but I don't think most programmers need to learn algorithms. But if you learn algorithms, it's not going to hurt you in programming. I say that, but here's how it could hurt you, which is basically spending too much time focusing on things that don't ultimately matter for most use cases. So that is something that is a kind of an anti-value in programming. Like in programming, you really want to focus on the things that are maximally effective for the job that you're tasked to do. I mean, programmers are notorious for this, just like working on stuff that doesn't matter because they think it needs to be perfect. So that is actually one way in which, spending too much time on something like algorithms could potentially hurt you. But that being said, like, just don't overthink it. Like, just, it's if you're interested in it and you want to learn it, good. If you want to go pass a coding interview at a FANG company where they make you jump through all these hoops in order to work for them, when you honestly, most of the time, you don't even need that knowledge to do your job. A lot of those interviews are basically just designed to be a filter for, are you willing to do anything that we ask you to? That's really what they're about. So the other thing is, you don't want to learn a bunch of other stuff before you learn blockchain. That's the whole point. So if you learn blockchain, you want to basically start with the knowledge that's going to be most valuable to you, which is how to code for smart contracts with Solidity programming language. Somebody says programming in college equals fundamentals. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, learning to code in college, like slowly outside the real world workplace, it's fine. It's a fine way to learn. It's just slower. I mean, my whole take is this: like, if you are going to go to college anyway, and you ultimately want to do something like with computer programming, do it. It's great. Somebody says they missed the stream yesterday, but they wanted to say that the glitch happened and made their Coinbase wallet go to $108 million. Somebody said they love the boot camp. Awesome. So that glitch yesterday was about CoinMarketCap's price feed just going completely bonkers. Somebody says I spent 7 years studying engineering only to learn app programming and then 10x my income. That story is more common than you might know. Real world uses for NFTs, tax evasion. I'm saying, are you asking the question about what can you do with NFTs other than just be a tax evader? So basically, there's a lot of things that we can use for NFTs that go beyond, just digital art, collectibles. A lot of the stuff that, a lot of criticism of the NFT markets, like money laundering, all type of stuff. I mean, you see this right here. Rare CryptoPunk sold for a record $10.2 million. So we're just scratching the surface of what's possible with NFTs. Really, an NFT could go on to, like, what are the use cases beyond that? Well, really, you could use NFTs to model any non-fungible asset, the ownership of any non-fungible asset. So just break it down so you can understand it. What is fungible versus non-fungible? So fungible, when you're describing an asset, you have a collection of assets, and anything inside that collection can be interchanged with another item from that collection. It doesn't matter which one you have. So for example, if you have a Bitcoin, you can trade one Bitcoin for one Bitcoin, and it doesn't matter if it's the first Bitcoin ever mined or the last one. There's nothing special about it. Okay. They're all worth the same. So, but NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, non-fungible assets, are different. So there's a hierarchy among the collection. Some things are more valuable than others. So examples are like Pokemon cards, like, holographic Charizard is like worth more than, I don't know, some real just basic card. I'm not a huge Pokemon person. I used to be when I was a kid, but haven't touched it in a long time. So, that's an example as a hierarchy. Some things were more valuable than others. Therefore, you can't trade things interchangeably. So each member of the collection is unique. Think about it in computer science ways. In this collection, each member has an ID, and in a non-fungible collection, each member has an ID. And a fungible collection, IDs don't matter. Okay, it's just the count and how many things are in there. Okay, so where I'm going with that was the person asked me, like, what can you do with NFTs? But yeah, I just tax evasion, right? Like, so right now you see some of that, of course, with just the digital collectibles. But where I was going with that was basically you can use NFTs to model ownership of any non-fungible asset. So an easy example is you could model the deed to a house, okay, or property on a blockchain with an NFT, a non-fungible token, because real estate is non-fungible, okay? So why would you want to do that? Why would you want to use blockchain rather than just our current system? Well, you want to use blockchain when it provides a benefit that you can't get some other way. So part of the benefit of blockchain is that the contract and the ownership of the contract is, it's immutable. It's on public ledger, can't change. Real estate's already public record, so we don't care about that, right? It's like you can already see who owns stuff and how much it's worth. So, I mean, roughly how much it's worth, but there's a huge value in how long it would take to transfer that asset from one person to another. So if you've ever purchased property before, you have to go to a closing, okay? And, before the closing, like, you get this big itemized list of, like, this fee, that fee, the title fees, all this type of stuff, right? And so there's all these, like, people in the middle, like human beings who have to do all this work, okay? And, like, going to charge you for it. And, you end up paying thousands of dollars more at that closing than you really have to. I mean, some of that stuff is valuable, but the whole point is all that stuff can be automated away. All right, so that's one of the big benefits of blockchain in the first place is automation. So you don't have to audit things. Why do you need to go look to see if there's anything wrong with a title? Like this should really all be on a public record that everybody has access to. So we're talking about real estate. Like you could just automate all that stuff away, and then save time and save money. And a blockchain smart contract can completely erase the need for 4 or 5 different humans that are involved in that transaction or just trying to upcharge you on something that really shouldn't be there in the first place. That could reduce the cost of real estate in the first place. It's probably not going to reduce the cost of real estate. It's probably just going to make it more profitable for the basically reduce the fees at the sale, because people with real estate tend to optimize for their monthly payment, not the purchase price. So it's the purchase price probably going to stay about the same. So anyways, that's an example of something that can be non-fungible that you can do with blockchain. That's why there's lots of other benefits on top of that. You could make it programmable. So, you don't have, like, you could just buy a house without, an intermediary. That's the whole point. No intermediaries with blockchain. If I want to sell you my house, and let's just say that the state is still responsible for recording titles and who owns it, and they want to keep track of the taxes, all that type of stuff, we can still see all that in the public ledger. But you don't have to go somewhere where they have to literally file paper documents at a courthouse or something. That's insane. That's absolutely, that's like 1800s stuff, and we're hitting here in 2022. I should just be able to sell you a piece of property with a click of a button, and then in an automated way, whoever's responsible for collecting taxes on that, all that type of stuff, could just see that it happened, right? An event could be emitted, and then it's in their logs, all that type of stuff. There's no reason that we have to do this, in this sort of backward way with stones and chisels and carrier pigeons. Like, it's absolutely insane. So somebody's trying to get me in the chat there. There's lots of other stuff we can do with NFTs. I mean, you do that with a car. You could do it with any other asset. Now, the real problem with real estate is you've got to get the current system to want to move toward it. So you have to find the incentives for them. And we can do all this stuff with real estate right now. A lot of it's going to be regulatory friction to making it happen. So the incentives have to be in line for them to want to adopt it, which usually means you have to find a way where they get either more money or more power or both. Brody's trying to get me, man, in the chat. Not falling for it. This message they are a real estate appraiser. They understand the banks and the incentives. Yep. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so the more people can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I can show you how to become a blockchain master step-by-step, start to finish, over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So That's all I've got, and until next time, thanks for watching, Dapp.